Hi, this is Oakville Daily Houses and Burlington Daily Houses, and my name is Darlene Dara from Century 21 Dreams, and I'm your host. Today is Thursday, November 3rd. We have a lot of new listings. Some are being caught from yesterday because I'm filming a little bit earlier. We have 31 that are showing up as new for Oakville and 13 for Burlington. I've highlighted in the video a few from each location. I'm going to combine the video as well. I have a lot of marketing material to get together prior to launching a Glen Abbey new listing within about a week or so. So I'm actually got a really busy day. One of the things actually I wanted to discuss as well, I'm sort of in shock because I deal with companies all the time. I refer companies to clients all the time, and one of the things that is so extremely important to me is customer service. And it's not just sometimes the actual business or activity that they're doing for a client, but it's also conflict resolution when there is an issue. I always say to people, you really get to know what a company is made of, or an individual, when something doesn't quite go right, and how they resolve it, how willing they're able to cooperate, and how they deal with the individuals. So today I had an interesting conversation with a tree company. Lot of complaints lately. In fact, Oakville has just released some new guidelines regarding tree removal on properties, on private property, particularly in Oakville, but definitely in Burlington as well. We really do take our trees seriously, and the removal of them particularly. But it's actually quite shocking in some cases how difficult it can be to take down a tree, or how easy it can be with no follow-up. So I've had conversations actually over the last week or so with some clients regarding tree removals, and really the approval of taking down very healthy trees, and other neighbors that just move in doing it, to the dismay of other neighbors, for really no apparent reason. We know that when builders are building, quite often they do have to clear some trees in order to tear down and build, and that's happening in a lot of established communities, in particular in the south of both of these communities. So we do understand that that has to happen. Often those kind of permits have a sort of caveat with them that they have to put back some trees after the fact. But I'm not sure what the follow-up is with the city. But the incident that I'm talking about today is actually really interesting. It's when a tree gets removed, or trees, and they actually do damage to a neighbor's property, i.e., in this case it was a fence, with no permission from the neighbor. And when it's actually brought up to the tree company, they don't seem to care, right? They don't care. There's like, well, I had permission to remove the trees from the owner that obviously employed them. And it's like, okay, well, did you have it in writing that if there was damage to a neighbor's fence or property, that a neighbor was okay with that? Or how was it going to be resolved? Or was there a holdback to make sure that damages could be repaired? And in all cases it was no, and the company didn't seem to care one way or the other. So I find it quite interesting. I'm going to actually check and see what kind of resolution. I don't know if there's, complaint thing with the city, but I find that this is really interesting. And even really when somebody's saying, okay, even myself as a realtor referring companies, usually that does have some impact because, you get a lot of business. So at the end of the day, to resolve an issue with a neighbor, and let's face it, fences in particular are huge issues with neighbors. Putting them up can be huge issues. Anybody who works at different cities will tell you that, to get permits to do things or whatever. You can have great neighbors and suddenly a fence, destroys the relationship or whatever. But you just can't run around damaging people's property. So I was really quite floored at the response, and it just is piggybacking on a lot of complaints, quite frankly, over the last few weeks. I've heard from people about trees being removed, and really how the companies who are taking them out are dealing with the neighbors and the properties, and maybe not the person that hired them, but to make sure that actually everything is done right and that nobody else is disadvantaged in the process. So let me know what you think on this, and it'll be interesting. Anyway, so let's get started on our videos. That's sort of my pet peeve today, and it's a big one. Who fixes the damage, who pays for the damage, and definitely this tree company was, in my case that I'm hearing about, was not interested. So anyway, all right. So if I can help at all, email me at darlene@homesaleDivas.com or call or text my cell 905-484-4653. Okay, so take care. Okay, so got a lot of stuff all over my desk here. So we have 4 in Oakville that we're going to highlight and 3 in Burlington. I'm combining it as I mentioned today. So 2239 Crestmont Drive in Westmount. 869.9. This is a 4-bedroom. It's around 2,100 square feet, and I thought actually that this was a pretty good price for the neighborhood. It may go higher. It tends to fetch some pretty high prices now in this community. So they've done a nice job. It looks like the hardwood may have been updated a little bit. It's a bit darker than normal, although actually in this picture it looks like it might be original. Okay, so there's a lot of wood tones. These are definitely sort of a bit of your older cabinetry. It does match the floors, but I'm finding that light color of wood, sometimes people are not really liking quite as much. But I do like this house. I think that it's got really a good floor plan, and definitely for the price range as well. It does look to me like a lot of the finishes, though, are original builder grade. I don't see mass amounts of updating from what I can see. But they have done the lower level, which is quite nice as well. So that does help. And you do have a nice patio and actually a cute backyard. So I think for the price point that this is actually a very nice property. Okay, 33 Sumner Avenue. It's in Old Oakville, 899.9. Now I had to do a double take, I have to be honest, because when I saw the price and I saw the location, I'm like, wow. But it turns out it's a semi. It's a little hard to tell when you first look at the thing, but then of course you can see that the door is split a little bit. So then it became more obvious. So it looks like heritage. So it's going to have that sort of old world charm a bit. So again, if it's got that designation, you're going to have to be careful with, let's see, Old Oakville. I don't know if it says anything about it being, having that heritage. Okay, because definitely there are rules about if a house has a heritage designation about renovating it. So you have to be a bit more careful. But this looks like there has been quite a bit of updating done. It's not a huge property. It's around 1,474 square feet. But I do like it. And again, with a property like this, it's really about the location, really, being walking distance from things, and just the charm of Old Oakville. So they have actually maintained, I think, really, sort of the older feel of the house, really at the same time as having it updated. Okay, so our next one is 2354 Haven Drive, West Oak Trails. It's 1,150,000. It's about just under 2,500 square feet, 4-bedroom. I do like the outside curb appeal. I like the backyard. It's got a lot of privacy. And what's nice about this one is actually you do have sort of your 2-story area, which really isn't as typical in some of the West Oak houses. So you do have sort of that loft. So it does have that sort of open feel, which is quite nice. You've got sort of your living room and your dining room sort of, flowing into each other. Now the kitchen is not huge, so that would really explain the pricing a little bit. And it looks pretty, again, builder grade. But they have updated, they've repainted, so they've modernized the furnishings and everything else. So it's actually showing quite well, though. So there's your you've got that little sort of loft area, which is quite nice. And that's really nice for when you've got teenagers and things like that, that they have a little bit of private space. Okay, so the rooms are not bad sizes. This to me looks quite staged. And it gets into a whole other conversation about staged properties. So it may not be, but it does look like it might be staged. Yeah, see, that's definitely, who really has a mirror hanging out in their rooms? Now, I would probably say those bathrooms have been updated because the sinks being above counter like that and squared looks like there had been some room done or some renovations done. Okay, so you have the backyard, you have a little patio, but the backyard actually has good potential as well. Okay. All right, so our next one is 1410 Stanbury Road, and this is in Southwest. It's custom, 2,488,000, and it's saying it's just over 4,000 square feet. So let's take a look at this one. So again, you're seeing a more modern feel, hardwood that's sort of a little bit lighter in color. Again, sort of more your typical lighter, brighter, more modern feel to the new builds that are happening. I find this interesting. So they've done an island, but they've extended it. So it's actually a nice way of having a larger island without it being too heavy. You have a servery area, which is very handy. I had a house that had a servery like that. It was just great when you had parties. Again, a modern, really modern fireplace, and you've got really the same kind of hardwood all the way through as well. So they've done a pretty nice job of this one. And everything's sort of in the grayish and light tones as well. And your lower level, you've got a sauna, little wine area. Now the property is 75 by 150, so it is a really nice size property, which would really explain the the pricing. Okay, so now we're going to flip to Burlington. 2268 Sutton Crescent. Okay, so this is an orchard. This is a really low-priced property, $589,900. Okay, so it's saying it's around, does it have? Yeah, 14, just under 1,500 square feet. It's got a single-car garage, which again is pretty typical, and it's long and narrow. So this is definitely a smaller property than some, which does explain the pricing. But with sort of the open light coloring, they've done a pretty nice job. But the rooms are narrow. You're really going to have to take that into account. But this is a good property. It's a 3-bedroom to get you into the orchard area for really a condo pricing. So I really don't think that this is going to last very long. For somebody who really wants a detached house, but really can't afford to be going into the high 6s or 7s or 8s that really are getting commanded in the area. And you've got a little backyard. So I expect this will sell very, very quickly. Okay. Our next one is 330 Meadow Hill Road. This is 724,900. I think this one again is going to go very quickly. It's Elizabeth Garden, which is sort of in the south of Burlington, and this one has been renovated. I think that the pricing is going to have this one sell very quickly. Backyard is really, really cute. They've redone flooring. They haven't opened it up, but they have modernized. So, it's, again, when you're opening it up, it's definitely going to cost more money, but they've done a very nice job. It looks like it's been staged as well. And then you've got your lower level. Okay. And our final one is 3134 Velvet Park Boulevard. It's in Alton West. Now, it's $939,000. This one is a 4-bedroom. It's around 2,000 square feet. One of the reasons I focused in on this one is I really like the outside. We typically see new builds and they look the same. But some of the detail of this, even just this work, I think they've done a great job. The curb appeal on the outside is really pretty. They've done a nice job in the inside. I like the kitchen. This is an interesting way. This would make it very tight, but they have accommodated an island. They've got big enough still to have a table. And again, they've done a pretty nice job of the layout of this one. So again, the price point, I think that this one will move very, very quickly as well. And then you do have some outdoor sort of living space. So I think that's a nice property. So the ones that I've showcased I think are really nice. Take a look at the rest that will be linked on each of the sites as well, and let me know if I can help at all. So take care, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow.